Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 387 and this is 8 years worth of saying that.
It is.
I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I'm Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. It's Monday the 9th of April.
So we publish like 48 episodes a year, which I thought was pretty good. We didn't publish one last week though. Nope. Sorry guys.
We got back from PlyAway. I had all late hours at work every night, and then the day that we were going to record was a tornado warning. So
we're like, ugh.
It's like, I like you enough to make you stay home today.
Yes.
So
also, it's we often lose power when there's storms of that severity, and I had actually lost internet at my house already, so I was like,
yeah. And by then it was Wednesday, and that's knit night, which we can't skip. Well,
'cause
Laura
it's at
can't
my house.
skip. I did skip. And then Thursday, Laura says, "You want to record?" And I'm like, "No, not really."
It's too late in the week by Thursday. I don't even know why we
yeah.
try. So our apologies for that.
So you would think that with 2 weeks we would have so much to show.
I have all the things to show.
You
I
do
don't
have
know what
a
you're
lot to
talking
show.
about.
So get started, lady.
Okay. I am working on a Cassius curl. It's out of the book Curls by Hunter Hammerson, which is a wonderful book. This is actually the second time that I've knit this. I find it a good use of yarn that you don't know what else to do with. So they're kind of like cowl / shawl things, and you can knit them out of any weight yarn. You just keep going. And I like this one because I have the pattern memorized. So whereas there are some that are more
yeah, there's all sorts. There's cabled. There's like, I don't think there's any color
there's
work ones that I
lace.
can remember. Yeah, there's definitely lace.
It's a pretty interesting book. So if you've not checked out Curls by Hunter Hammerson, she actually has 2 of them. And you just kind of pick a needle and pick a yarn and you go with it. The last one that I knit which was this exact same one, was out of Malabrigo Silky Merino. I think I used 3 skeins that I had in the stash. It's a good stash busting.
Gray or blue, wasn't it?
It's a light blue,
Yeah.
and I wear it all the time. So I tried, if you watched a couple episodes ago, I tried to do Casapinka shawl out of this yarn, and it just was not working. I needed something that was a little bit different, so I opted for this. And I started it on our way back from PlyAway, and I'm knitting it on size 8 or 9 needles.
I think those are 8s.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yep. Signature size 8, which is a 5.00 millimeter. And I haven't been investing a lot of time in this. It's something that I pick up and put down pretty often, but this is one of those patterns that's great for hand spun. As you can see, it's got a real simple, easy to memorize pattern, and I'm knitting it on the size 8s because it just looks, I think it looks good on that. I don't think it looks too loose.
No.
I don't think it looks too tight. I think it's just right. So it's great. It is kind of an interesting shape, which you can't see because I have it all scrunched up. But it is a triangle that grows on one side.
Yeah, asymmetrical.
So it's asymmetrical. I wear my other one kind of to keep warm, so I just like tuck it in my coat when I'm walking pro and it's cold outside. And that's kind of the thought for this. This is some hand spun, and it's living in my chicken boots Quidditch bag that's a double zip double, which has this little pocket on one side. Because I got this sweater out of it and the bag was sitting there, so it went to live in there because Humberto was helping himself to it.
It's being quite
and I have around 3 ounces left out of 8 ounces that I spun. I got around 440 yards, and this was a good pattern for this because it's easy to cut off at any point.
Yeah.
So when I run out, I'll run out, but hopefully not anytime soon. I was a little bit worried when I first started it because when I first started it, this was a combo spin. So it was 2 very different colors that I mashed up. There was like a blue-green, which you can
poke me in the eye with that thing.
There was a blue-green, and then there was her abalone colorway. So it was those 2 colorways. So it started off like real dark, and I wasn't sure I liked that. But I like it now.
I like it even in the dark.
It was BFL, so it's got a little bit of a shimmer. BFL's longer staple wool, and longer staple wools tend to reflect light a little bit differently than short staple wools. I tend to mat it out, so yep, and it will look like that probably pretty much when it's done. Just set it like that.
I like it.
I'm digging it. So that is what I'm currently working on. Is that the only thing that I'm working on? Oh, I swatched. I have 2 things in planning. So, because I'm a follower and I liked Leslie's vest that she knit, the big, bulky Jord one, I decided to swatch for it. So I swatched out of some Brooklyn tweed,
Quarry,
which I'm going to get out of my bag. I brought so I bought 3 skeins of this from House of Yarn. This is the slate colorway. It looks like that. It is a woolen spun 2-ply.
It's gray.
Like the color of my soul.
Sort of a purpley gray.
And it's got like little bits of blue in it. And like a brown.
Yeah.
It looks like slate. It looks like gray. So this is my swatch, okay?
Which she knit on.
It says 11 needles.
And it's a bulky yarn.
It is a bulky yarn. Oh, it might be more than a 2-ply. Hold on, let's see. It's a 3-ply. I thought it was a 2-ply. And it is woolen spun. It'll just drift apart. And it's very, very low twist, which means that it makes those holes on the lace.
It'll make your joins
very,
completely
very
invisible if you do the...
Oh yeah, I'm totally
spit
gonna, well, I was going to, just separate out the plies.
You
And
can
just
do
leave
that
them
too.
all in separate.
I just did a spit splice on all mine.
Oh, I might do that too.
It's less weaving.
So because it's very, very low twist, it makes these holes very round and open. So this is my swatch, okay, and it says 11 needles. This is, and I blocked the crap out of this because I needed it to be 8x8 to get gauge. This is Leslie's swatch.
Knit on a size 15. Same weight yarn.
Same number of stitches.
I did not aggressively block it.
And her yarn is much thicker than mine.
Even though they're classed the same.
Yeah. So that's the difference between how I knit and how Leslie knits, and this is why you should swatch.
Yes.
So, anyway, my swatch gets gauge.
Mine got the gauge I was looking for.
11s.
I didn't, I think I did a stitches per inch gauge versus a all over gauge. I don't remember though.
I don't know. So we'll see how we can compare them when we're done.
Sure.
And yours was turbine, right?
Mm-hmm.
That you used?
Harrisville tweed turbine.
So, and that's what Laura Nelkin used for that jacket, the Novus jacket
Okay.
that I wanted it. So it's good to know that they kind of get the same gauge, kind of, sort of.
Yeah, I want to cast on that Novus tee this week.
Yeah, you totally should. So this is what's next on my needles for my big project, and then my small portable project that's going to be next on the needles is I'm going to cast on a pair of socks out of String Theory Colorworks Continuum. Isn't that pretty? That's one of our self-stripers for this month. The Continuum is a cashmere merino nylon blend, and so I'll probably knit this on 0s or double 0s. I like that she puts on her labels how the stripe pattern works out. So this is Dopamine, and it's 7 rows purple, 3 rows black, 7 rows teal, 3 rows black, 7 rows green, 3 rows black. So I'm excited to start those. I'll probably wind that when I get home. So I'm going to knit those on size 0s. So that is it for me for what I have and what I am planning on knitting. What are you currently knitting?
I'm knitting a pair of socks. I think I've decided these are going to go to Mama Linneman.
Aw, she'll like that. Mother's Day is coming up.
It is, although I don't want to tie myself down to saying I'll finish them by then. Because I really try to just go with whatever I'm motivated to do versus... sorry, there's a dog in here. And she's usually pretty good, but I like to keep an eye on her anyway. We had guys, 2 different companies here to give us fence quotes today.
Oh.
And they were not happy that there were people in their territory. They were very angry.
How are the geese about people in their territory?
They're way back. It's about to be nesting season, so they're very busy off doing
nesting type things,
mating type things, I guess. I don't know. So this is a parallel module socks. It is an entrelac method.
I really like those. Those are coming out really superb.
This is, oh my goodness, mustache yarns in...
Oh, hi!
Kama Sutra. Hey, let's not scratch the new sweater. Come here.
Hey, Puff Puff!
Come over here.
She just yawned.
She doesn't care about me.
Hi.
She only loves Laura.
Hi, baby. She ignored me earlier.
Her tail just knocked some of my yarn down. And it scared her. She's a ferocious pit bull.
Ferocious.
Anyhow, I have turned the heel.
Now she's come to you and you're ignoring her.
And I was going to do the Turtle Girl double gusset heel.
That's a good heel.
And it has you reducing on the bottom instead of on the sides. Well...
Was it more of a single gusset for you?
It was a double gusset, but it was like I did one at the side and one at the bottom simultaneously without thinking about it. So like instead of a nice gradual gusset, I got like a super abrupt gusset. Nobody likes an abrupt gusset.
That's the word on the street.
So, and I tried it on and it still fits fine. But I think it will fit her foot better than it will fit my foot. So... we'll see. I need to measure it because I know she's got very narrow 9.5s. So, I've still got a little bit to go, but I am getting low on yarn.
Oh, yeah, you are.
But I think I have plenty to go.
Yeah, I think you're fine.
So, this is the first sock. And the pattern does have you continue the entrelac on the foot, but it's totally not going to happen.
Well, I think that would just be awkward to have
in
on
shoes.
In shoes,
because
for sure.
It is a very noticeable texture on the inside.
Yeah, it is.
Which, I mean, this is all entrelac. It's not, there's nothing wrong with the pattern. Entrelac is a very noticeable texture inside because you're constantly picking up and decreasing stitches. So you've got some very clear, for those of you who do quilting, it's kind of like the apple core block thing that you cut out ruler. It's kind of like that design. Is she laying on my yarn?
Yep.
That's what it sounds like.
Yep. She totally is laying on top of
all my yarn is in
bags
plastic
of
bags, so it's no biggie. So anyhow, that's number one thing that I'm knitting on. I'm also knitting the Cypress vest, which I mostly finished on the way to Ply, but the neck is still a little weird. I picked up and knitted the stitches for the neck, but I need to block them and tack them down just to see if they look right, because I think I may have to adjust the number of stitches.
Are you going to come block Wednesday?
Maybe. Tomorrow. No. Tomorrow's
You can
Tuesday.
come tomorrow.
No, it's fine. Tomorrow I have a dentist appointment. Again.
That was the other thing.
So, if you don't want to listen to my dentist crap, then sorry. Fast forward for a few minutes, because I'm having the crappiest month. So I have this little piece of skin here, which everybody has, but mine is more pronounced than others, and it's called a frenulum. You know where else has a frenulum? A male's genitalia. So don't Google that if you're at work. Pro tip, you know.
Awesome.
So anyhow, this little piece of skin that connects
I'm so glad you Googled that. So let me know.
my lip to my gum is actually so strong it's pulling my gums down. So I have to get that snipped. It's a very common thing. It's similar to like, there's a condition called like tongue tied where it's
they snip the baby's tongues.
Exactly like that. It's just on my lip. So I have an appointment to do that. I have to go to a special doctor for them to take the 10 seconds to snip that.
It's very exciting.
At the same time, I've got a wisdom tooth that's killing me. And so tomorrow I have a consult with the same guy to see if in 2 weeks, when I have my other appointment,
he can do that.
He can do this too. So, yeah,
all
the money is just...
Well, all the milkshakes for you after you get that wisdom teeth
You can't suck through a straw. You'll get dry socket. Have you never had your wisdom teeth out?
Yeah, I sucked through a straw.
You get dry socket. You can have ice cream, but you can't, like, have suction. Because they mention smoking or drinking through a straw.
Pretty sure I drank through a straw.
Well,
But I did not get dry socket. Apparently we didn't read the prep through.
yeah, apparently you did not.
I was so high the whole time.
What are you doing in here?
All the animals are here.
You can't see him though. Sorry.
There's Neelix. There he goes.
Hey, baby. Thank you. With his dainty little
Kerchief.
dog kerchief.
No. No, Daddy's doing something. Time to go.
So there's an air compressor in the next room. Sorry. Hey, Michael, will you close my recording door, please?
We had a wasp situation earlier too. That's why it was left
caught the
open.
wasp.
You did.
It looks like my whole room is off kilter. Like it. Sorry, I'll fix that at some point. Also, the website's probably down. I don't know. We moved hosting, and it's just
We ran out of room on our old host, so we had to either pay $20 a month or move to a new host.
And I thought it would be less expensive to move to GoDaddy. It has not proven such. So, depending on how quickly they can actually restore service, we may be moving back to the other one. It's been up, it's been down, it's been up, it's been down. We know. We're working on it.
Sorry, guys.
Let's see, what else am I working on? Oh, Turtle Pearl mitts. This is just...
Oh, yeah.
There's no pattern. I'm just sort of knitting it like a sock, except once I got to the thumb,
Did you add a gusset, or did you just make a hole?
Nope, I just made a hole.
Oh, perfect.
So I just went back and forth at that point. I did do an I-cord border on that edge, so it looks nice and clean.
Yeah, you did. That definitely looks nice.
And then I did I-cord at the top, although it's rolling a little more than I would like, but I haven't blocked it either, so we'll see. So I finished one of those.
You cast on the second one?
Nope. Because I didn't have the second thing of yarn with me. So.
Oh, gotcha. Because you were knitting on that at PlyAway as well.
Yep.
Did you have a lot of downtime in your class to get a lot of knitting done?
We did have a lot of downtime.
So you took a dyeing class.
Yes. So this is a little out of order, but I did take a dyeing class from...
Was it Jane?
Her tag said Joan, but I think it was Jean.
Okay.
Woodhouse in Vermont. Well, she lives in Vermont. I didn't go to Vermont. And it was a class on natural dyeing, and it was different than I expected, because I guess I expected to go in there and use, like mushrooms and pressed flowers and things like that to dye.
Which is what I did when we did natural dyeing. We used it was almost like making teas.
Right.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I expected. But it was more like the extracts of natural products and like the granulated powdered versions of the natural products.
Nice.
Like, we did logwood bark. We did Osage orange bark.
Did you do walnut?
We did pomegranate. We did not do walnut. We did indigo, of course.
Which is why you took that.
Amazing samples. If you get a chance to take a class with Jean Woodhouse, jump on it. She was a great teacher. We walked away with like 10 times the samples that I thought we were going to get. But there was downtime because, the dyes have to set.
Yeah.
And then they have to be rinsed. And it was like everybody pitched in and helped do the rinsing and the drying and all that stuff. So it was a good class. I had a really good time. And then Saturday I had no classes, so it was great. I got to go to Quilting is My Therapy, a yarn shop that I later found out
a quilt
is
shop
where...
or a yarn shop?
Quilt shop, sorry. That I later found out is where it's Tula Pink's local shop, and it's the lady who has the Craftsy show, Quilting After Midnight, Angela Waters.
Oh, wow.
Or Walters, I can't remember. It's both of their local shop, and it's Sarah who was with us. It's not her local shop, but it's one of the local shops she goes to. I was so jealous. It's a great shop, though.
Yeah, okay. So they went off and
on
bought
Saturday.
Stuff.
Yeah, because we didn't have any classes on Saturday, so... Oh, God. Is that it for me? Tell me that's it for me.
I think so.
Yeah, I have some spinning, but that's later.
I have 2 finished objects. I'm wearing one of them, even though it's like 150
I was going to say, I cannot
here.
believe you're still wearing it.
So I finished, if you've watched the show before, I started this back in July of last year. I'm going to stand up, I think. And this is the quicksand sweater. And it kind of like flares out, so it's got increases on the side. And flares, and it's got this really cool yoke. You can kind of see. So I had started this before SSK because I wanted a super quick sweater, and this was out of an Aran weight. I knit it on size 8 needles.
Was it SSK?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I wanted, because I only had like 3 new sweaters for SSK, and I was like, I need to do a new sweater for SSK. So, anyway, I started this out of a deep stash from the first time that we went to TNNA. We stopped by that crazy store that was really a warehouse that only had... So this is Fleece Artist BFL Aran in gray.
Shocker, it's gray.
And I think I took 5 balls, so around 1,000 yards for my size, which is not bad at all. I did alternate the skeins until the sleeves when I ran out. And basically, you're supposed to do the edging. This does have an edging on it that rolls in. It's supposed to be like knit 1 row, bind off. But I did like 4 rows to give it a little bit more.
You did ribbing, right?
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay.
Nope.
Oh, okay. It just looks that way because it's knit sideways where all the rest of it's up and down.
So I did the sleeves first and then made sure I had enough to do the little bit of trim that there is. And there are a bunch of ends to weave in, but it's been blocked. It grew. The sleeves were like here because that's all that I had of yarn, so I was a little bit worried, but they grew quite a bit. Sleeves typically grow for me. So, yay, new sweater! It was 32 yesterday. Buffy's lying back there.
Yeah.
But it's now going to be in the 70s.
Yeah, it was in the 70s today when I was outside with the fence folks.
Yep. But it was 32 yesterday. Like, it was iced. We had a freeze warning. Yeah. So.
I can't imagine why we've had tornado warnings.
And we probably will again this week. So that's it for this. It's just a really interesting construction. Just a yoke. It actually fits well for a yoke, which is unusual for me.
I hear all raglan shaping is for children.
No. This isn't raglan, it's a yoke.
Oh, sorry. I was trying to make a joke, but you wouldn't let me.
We went to a class once, and I was wearing my featherweight cardigan, which I had just finished, and the teacher looked at me and said, all raglan shaping only looks good on children. And I was pretty much devastated, because I had just knit a lace weight raglan cardigan. But that's okay. I wear raglans all the time.
Not all of our experiences are great ones.
So it happens. I don't think she meant it directly towards me. I just think it was something that was, I don't know, maybe.
I don't know that she had a ton of tact, but
I don't know. So that's the first thing that I finished. The second thing that I finished are my smooth operator socks.
Do you need blockers?
That would probably be helpful. This is a version of the Afterthought heel. It is designed by Susan B. Anderson. This is a sport weight yarn by, that's okay.
I have like 7 pairs of them.
It's okay. It's a sport weight yarn by Nomadic Knits. Nomadic Yarns.
I think it's Nomadic Yarns.
Nomadic Yarns. And this is one of her Harry Potter colorways. It is the, which one is it? The, Honeydukes colorway. Aw, your cookie A blockers. I feel so fancy. So I haven't tried them on me yet. I try to not wear socks before I show them to y'all.
So they're all fresh and shiny.
Yeah, before they get tore up. So anyway, that's what they look like. I finished these at PlyAway. So yeah, this should be good. So this is a sport weight, which I knit on 1.5s. And the main difference between her pattern and other people's patterns, well, there are 2 main differences. You can see on this toe, it's got like a wider, where the decreases are. She eliminates that for the heel section, so she's got a different type of heel going on. And then she knits it from the top down with double points. She recommends getting like to this point and then putting in the waist yarn for the heel, knitting the heel, and then trying it on. So you never are guessing at how long your foot has to be. But I know that my foot has to be 10 inches.
You've knit for your foot several times.
Several dozens and dozens of times, if not hundreds of times. So, yeah, I'm excited for those. new pair of Harry Potter socks.
My dog just got hit with a sock block.
And she just was so chill about it.
Sorry.
So those are the 2 things that I finished. Do you want to talk about your spinning?
Yeah, I can talk very briefly about it. So, I've been spinning a patchwork kit over at Laura's.
Yeah.
Because we tend to
use each other's wheels.
When we hang out, we usually hang out at Laura's because it's much quieter and cleaner.
I don't know about that.
And there's only one pet really to deal with, although
There's 2.
can kind of be like 7 when he wants to be.
7 pets or 7 years old.
7 pets.
That's true.
When he gets a wild hair...
Dude, he was eating plastic bags when you were over.
He was!
And my needles.
And I was just staring at him like, what are you doing?
And then he was eating Pearl's, fur off her tail at one point.
But heaven forbid she turn around to try to greet Humberto, and he's like...
Yeah, he did take her claws out.
So I think this has got about 5 ounces, maybe a little bit more on it.
It's got 5 ounces.
This is just 5 different bits from the patchwork kit. It's on a Majacraft bobbin, because I've been spinning on a Majacraft rose over at Laura's. So these are mostly earth tones like browns and greens and taupe and some blues. And it's starting to get into more of like the brighter colors, like the purples, and there's some peaches and oranges.
So you're going to chain ply this, right?
I am, and I actually had intended to chain ply it before the show, but I couldn't find my mini spinner. Like, how hard is it to lose a wheel in this house? And it's right here because I wound off of it onto my skein winder or my Swift.
Yeah.
So
do you have any ideas of what you want to do with the finisher? Okay.
I'm just gonna see what I get and go from there. I'm not opposed to doing something like you did, like a blanket, but I would knit mine at a much looser gauge. For 2 reasons. 1, because I would get a bigger finished object, and 2, because I rarely need the amount of heat that you need, because it just comes off of me in waves.
So I had the air turned on in the library today, and one of my coworkers, when I turned on the air, he's got an office beside me, keeps telling me that I'm going to give him double pneumonia. And I was like, dude, it's 74 degrees. Like, this is not that cold.
I was going to say that I'm impressed that you still have control of your thermostat, but it's an old building.
No, they redid my section, so I have the new thermostat, and I'm not supposed to have control.
Most buildings,
but I do,
don't allow that, and even if they have a thermostat up, it's a complete dummy. It doesn't actually do anything.
Mine was the first that they took off of steam heat. So we were on steam heat until like 5 years ago, and these big box air conditioners that had a light switch that you could turn on and off with a
like a broom handle.
Yeah. Well, you were in that building.
I was. I remember it being very cold in the winter.
So, yeah. And also it sounded like a train was coming through. Mm-hmm. Anytime there were, like, air bubbles in the pipes, it sounded like a train was coming through. But when they redid the library, I was the first person to get new heating and air. And because I was the only person on it,
you have a control.
I have a control. Whereas they can still override it. But... like, they can override it from county office.
Yeah.
But as of right now, I have control. I have the power.
Over your tiny kingdom.
Yeah, my tiny, tiny kingdom. And then the kids were like, it's so cold in here. I was like, it's 74 degrees.
Laura also is super creepy because when I was there watching Pearl when she was in New York, she was like, I know you just got to my house because the electricity thing just let me know that someone walked past the thermometer.
It does.
And then today when I was walking with the fence people, I came back in and told Michael, because he happened to be on a call when the first person got here, so he wasn't out there. And he's like, yeah, I watched you on the camera. You went exactly where you were supposed to go. I was like, that is so creepy.
I love it.
Okay. None of this is about knitting.
No.
So, but you have spinning, right?
I do have spinning. I have a good bit of spinning, for me anyway. what seems like a good bit. So I spun the singles, which have yet to be applied for the Patreon prize. The February Patreon prize. So this is a Silk Polworth blend. It is the colorway Whisper by Hello Yarn. And I just need to ply it. It's going to be a 2-ply. So I spun it on the Ladybug. I spun some of it in some of this bobbin in Judith's class. So there we go.
Cool.
So
and is that getting plied this week, you think?
Yeah. It'll probably get plied. I'm spinning something else right now, so when I finish that, I'll just have a plyathon. So for March's Patreon prize, I started spinning some South African superfine wool top, which is Southern Cross Fiber. This is, and it's the Fragand. It's some kind of artist.
Fragonard.
Oop, and I'll take that. That's not zooming real well. Okay. And so it's like a pink, a peach, a greenish blue, going into black. I think it's really pretty.
Yeah.
So
how are you going to spin that one?
Getting spun into a 2-ply.
Oh, okay.
So the book that we're about to review has a spin along going with it, and it's like, what is your default yarn was the first one, and I was like, yeah, 2-ply, sport weight.
It smells good. It smells woolly but clean.
I know. But it also kind of feels like, this is not my favorite fiber to spin because I feel like it feels like chalk.
It does feel a little like it's hard to differentiate the fibers. It feels more...
It's like a dense merino kind of.
Yeah,
maybe kind of a Rambouillet-ish.
It almost feels like the fibers have been stripped of their texture a little bit.
Oh, I feel like it feels like chalk. Which is why it's not getting spun super fast. Because originally I was going to get it done and plied this weekend. So the first half's on the wheel. It's around 1 ounce through. And then this is the second half. And then I have samples to show you all from Judith's class. So I took 2 classes at PlyAway. Both with Judith McKenzie. And the first one was plying. So let me get out my plying samples, which are not those samples. I try to keep everything in little bags to keep them straight. So we did pretty easy things. This is how I tagged my samples in class. So this was a Polworth top, worsted spun, 2-ply. So yeah, pretty simple. I think that's pretty basic. That's pretty much my default. And then we did Polworth top long draw. So you can tell that this is, it kind of feels like a wet tissue, is what she told us it should feel.
Polworth is great for long draw. But...
So what she did is she lives in Forks. Insert any kind of vampire jokes now. Oh, I have to tell you something later about the Innkeeper series. Because there's a vampire joke.
Okay.
A Twilight vampire joke in the new Innkeeper series. I need to share with you. So she leaves this on her covered porch, and it kind of like reactivates the crimp so that you can long draw it. So it changes like the crimp structure of the top. So, but it does kind of feel like a wet tissue. And Judith says when you true woolen spun, like if it breaks, you shouldn't be able to pull it back out of the wheel with the tension on. Like it should just continually break. So I don't know if I agree with that, but that's what I tried to spin this. So that's the difference. When people are like, what's the difference between woolen and worsted?
Well, I can see it. Show them.
I know. I'm trying to... So it's hard to kind of see, but the woolen is much more airy, much more light, and it feels like it has much more air, whereas the worsted is much more defined. So, and it's the same twist per inch. It's pretty much my default spin. So there's that, and then we also did... Okay, so the first thing we did was spin singles of silk. And then my second single was yak. So just to get kind of like the 2-ply brain going. So that was the first, and then we did the 2-ply worsted, 2-ply woolen, and then we did a technique she called entrapment, where you spin singles, and some people did 3-plies too, but I wanted to play with this more. You spin singles, and then as you're plying them, you trap something like mohair locks in between, and then I plied it again to lose some of that twist with like a sparkly thread.
Now, why did you want to lose some of the twist?
Because it was unbalanced. Well, no, it probably was balanced. I wanted the locks to really, like, fly out a little bit more, so it's more like a lock spun.
Okay.
I was just playing at that point.
Do you need something?
He needs all the things. So that's what I did in the 8-hour plying class. I guess it was 6 hours. It was 6 hours. It was before lunch and after lunch, so 6 hours. This is more of the entrapment with Sari Silk that I was playing with in the hotel room afterwards. I was showing them what I did. It's really fun with Sari Silk. So that was the plying class. And then on Saturday, I had a 3-hour...
She's not going to let you lick her face, sorry.
I'm not. You and I don't have that kind of relationship, Neelix. I had a 3-hour class on different blends and blending. And the coolest thing about this was I got to spin Kiviet. So I spun Kiviet 3 ways. I spun it just... That is nettle. That is not Kiviet. That's one Kiviet. Okay, there's 2. There's 3. So this is just plain straight Kiviet. Just ply back on itself, and I had an issue with my ply back test, but I wanted to keep that little bit of sample. So this is Kiviet from Alaska, which is musk ox. It's a very short staple fiber, very expensive. It's around $100 for an ounce at this point in time.
Because you can't shear them. They are quite large.
They are. And so the second plying thing that we did was 1 ply of Kiviet, 1 ply of 14 micron merino, which is like a super duper fine merino. Would you like to feel? I'll let you feel.
I'll feel it with the non-Neelix hand.
Can you?
So that's really soft, yeah.
And she said you could do like a whole like cloak out of basically like 100 grams, which would be like 4 ounces.
Wow.
Like a whole garment.
I have an ounce of Kiviet.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
That's
I got
exciting.
it from, I think the Buffalo people.
Yeah. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's somewhere around here.
And this is 1 ply Kiviet and then 1 ply of the micron merino. Which I still think you get because it's a 50-50.
Yeah, I mean, you can feel the merino, but it's still pretty soft.
And then this is the same, but this was, I hand carded it. So I hand carded the 2 together. So instead of 1 ply of each, this is hand carded together. I'll show you guys too. Also, I do not do a good job of hand carding. Oh, and I learned how to spin off the cards. So she demoed how to spin off the cards. So that was...
We did learn the right way to do a rolag from the Clemis and
Oh,
Clemis.
yeah. The Clemis and Clemis guys were amazing. They can just have all my money. And then the last thing that we spun was Nettle Cloud, which was nettle waste scraps that are left over. Sometimes it's called tow when it's leftover bits. So this is 100% nettle that I spun worsted.
Now, I've knit with partial nettle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, so it's basically a bast fiber, which is similar to linen.
Yeah, I was going to say, it feels like a very raw linen.
Yeah. It was not my favorite.
I imagine not.
Some people were combining it with silk. I was like, that's a waste of silk. And then she gave us...
Laura has very definite opinions.
I mean, it's good to try different blends, I guess. And then she also gave us an Angora blend to spin and a yak silk. The yak silk's still on my wheel, one of my bobbins. The yak silk was very, very slippery. It was good to try some different blends, some more luxury blends. Yeah. And Judith has a book on luxury blends.
Yeah.
Was it, I kind of thought it going in that it was a class on blending and what works well with each other. That was not the case. But I got to spin lots of cool stuff, so... It is what it is. So those were the 2, and that was a 3-hour class. And Mom took a weaving class with Judith and absolutely loved it. I feel like Judith's passions right now are like lichen dyeing and weaving a lot. So if you're a weaver, I would definitely recommend her classes on spinning to weave for sure. But we have a book to review. And I'm just going to hold it up because I feel like it's not... You'll see. So this is 51 yards to spin before you, was it pass? Cast off. Basically before you die. And this is kind of like a workbook. So it has a how to use this book, but it, if you look at the index, kind of separates 51 yarns out by different topics. So, and this is by Jacey Boggs-Faulkner, who is the editor-in-chief of Ply magazine.
She also runs PlyAway.
Yeah, and the manager of the book division of Ply is Jillian Marino, who's a very dear friend of ours. So already we're kind of biased. Mm-hmm. And I also feel like there's not enough spinning books on the market. So this is interesting because it's like basically 51 different types of yarns, and it's divided different ways. So class, basic and true, grazing on a hillside, single, structure, color, you're going the wrong way, fiber variety, inside and outside the box, community, and personal best. And you can kind of use it like a workbook. So it starts off with a topic. It tells you a little bit about that topic, in this case class, and how wools are divided. And then it has some thoughts about that topic. And they're very well researched, and there's a great bibliography in the back if you need more information. And then it has a little section at the bottom that says like your personal experience, where you can jot down notes. So it's basically a workbook. But it tells you a lot about little facts and information. Like merino wool does not stop growing, so it needs to be sheared once a year. If left unsheared, sheep can suffer a decreased mobility, overheating, and blindness. So little bits about that.
Around their eyes.
And then every once in a while it has like medium wool, and I'll have little pictures of the people who are experts. So that's Beth Smith. And she is pretty much an expert on different types of fleece in general. She and Deb Robeson, I would say, are like the two big ones. And then there's long wool, down wool, double-coated wool, things like Shetlands. For basic and true, we have true woolen, true worsted, semi-woolen, semi-worsted. Grazing on a hillside, it has tail spinning, which is a type of spinning where the locks, kind of like what I just showed you, where the locks are kind of free. It's used with mohair a lot, but also with longer locked wools like Wensleydale. And it's basically kind of a form of core spinning. There's spinning in the grease.
That's where you spin wool that hasn't been washed yet.
Yeah, so some of this I'm like on board with. Oh, and spinning in the grease can be like, when you soak the wool in cold water overnight and get rid of the dirt, but the grease is still in there. Yeah, that's considered spinning in the grease. Then fiber you processed. Then singles yarn, which has low twist singles, thick and thin singles, energized singles. It talks about structure. 2-ply, 3-ply, 5-ply, chain ply, cable ply, boucle. There's a picture of Judith.
Are we going through every single thing in the book?
Yeah, why not? Core spinning, coil, and there's different things of color like self-striping, tweed, fractal, gradients. On the You're Going the Wrong Way, it has from S to Z and back, so different structures of spinning. From butt to tip, which has to do with lock structure. Be Kind Rewind, which has to do with rewinding your singles before you ply with them, which is a big discussion.
Yeah, there are some people that are giant or very strong advocates for doing it every certain amount of yarn spun.
Fiber variety, which Judith was one of those people. She said like only spin like 10 grams at a time, wind down to a weaver's bobbin, and then as you just join them together. It gives you a more even. Silk, luxury fibers, manufactured fibers, cotton, bast fibers, domestic pet. That might be another one that I'm like, maybe not this week.
Maybe just spin a yard of it.
Yeah. Inside and outside the box has a new natural yarn, which has to do with some more interesting things. Not intended for spinning, like VCR tapes. And
Plarn.
Yeah, Plarn newspaper.
Which is yarn made out of plastic bags. torn into strips or cut into strips.
An emotional yarn, which Jazz Turtle's famous for doing. Yarns with, like, political meaning or emotional in other ways. Or, like, fabric from a project. Or pet yarn can also be emotional yarn. Your default yarn and its nemesis. Then community with a group, teaching somebody to spin while at a retreat or fiber events. And then personal best. Your finest yarn, your bulkiest yarn, your speediest yarn.
Every one of Laura's yarn is her speediest yarn.
Yeah, so it's a really interesting book. There's a spin-along going on with it, both on Instagram and on Ravelry. It uses the hashtag 51yarns. If you're interested in just checking out different types of yarns, that's definitely, like, my default we talked about, but, like, Jazz Turtle talked about that hers
You got your teacher voice on point right now. I love your face, but holy God.
Book reviews are kind of teacher for me.
I know. I think it's a great, like, this book I think would be a great way to sort of
try new things.
Well, not only that, but better your spinning, because it forces you to spin a yarn that you know you're going to use to cable, or to spin a yarn that you know you're going to use for boucle or something. I think it kind of forces you to expand your thoughts
I think
on
we
spinning.
all get into our default boxes, whether
and there's
it's
nothing wrong with
stripy
that,
socks or...
This would be a fun book to work through. I you know, if you're on the bandwagon of spinning a new yarn every week, rock on with your bad self. It would take me a lot longer.
And some of it can be just little bits, and sometimes, like, JC said it's okay to use pictures of past yarn that you've already spun as well. But, like, my default, we talked about, is, like, a 2-ply sport weight. Well, Jazz Turtles is tail spinning. So it was interesting to see, and some people had, like, thick and thin as their default yarn.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see what other people were doing. This retails for $24 in the U.S. You can get it through the Ply website, which is... PlyPublishing.com. Yeah, so thank you, JC. This was sent to us for a review. I think that's it. Do you have any other thoughts that you want to add?
I don't, because I haven't had as much time to look through it yet. But I also don't spin as frequently as Laura, so I think Laura's got more relevant points on it, and mine is more from the point of view of a slacker.
No.
I'm okay with that.
And I think it's interesting to try to, like you were saying earlier, broadening your horizon, or just getting into... One of the things that I liked about the PlyAway retreat is I got super inspired by the people who were around me. Like our friend Stacy bought cotton and just started spindle spinning cotton. Had never done... Yeah, and just has been going to town. And just being around other people who are crafting. If you've never been to a retreat, just being in that energy of, this is my tribe, these are my people.
Yeah.
Is a lot of fun. Plus, they had a really good marketplace.
It did. And I felt like it was one of those events where, to some degree, it was kind of like a Stitches. You sort of get into it, what you get out of it, what you put into it. True. I think the classes give you the opportunity to get a lot out of it. But it wasn't one where there were a whole lot of, like, group events.
There were some spin-ins on the nights that we didn't go, but that was before we got there. And there was a banquet that we didn't go to. But yeah, it's, again, one of those things, like, you get out how much you put in.
Yeah.
Also, we went to a restaurant that had trains that delivered our food.
This is a fact. I can't remember what it's called, but trains did deliver our food to us. It was cute for the first time.
Yeah, I don't think I'd go back. The food was not that good.
No.
I had a very flat
definitely
grilled cheese.
Geared towards kids. You know, very cute.
Yes.
But not a place I would choose to go again unless children were involved. And as my only child is 15, I don't see that happening. Let's see, what else? So, books that we're reading for ourselves. I'm listening to the Maid Marian series, which is a male romance series.
It's a good one. It's on Kindle Unlimited.
Yeah.
Are the audiobooks on Kindle Unlimited too?
No, but you can get them for the reduced price of $7 if you're borrowing them at that point in time. And then you own them forever. So that's what I'm doing. So I'm on the third one right now, the Jude, the country singer one.
Yeah, that one's cute. They're
Yeah.
cute. I think there's like 12 of them all together.
Oh, I think I only ever read like 4, and then I got distracted with something else.
Oh, well, then you have a lot to look forward to.
Yeah.
And she also has, like, a spin-off series.
Yeah. It's Lucy Lennox, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I think I've read something else by her, but I can't remember what. And then I'm reading, on the recommendation of our friend Jesse, I'm reading Little Hip Kitty. I'm reading Earthrise by M.C.A. Hogarth. And when she recommended it, I clicked on the link that she sent me, and
sent it to me.
I did. I sent it to Laura because we like a lot of the same books.
Yeah.
And then when I went to my Kindle to download it, it was like, you already own this title. Apparently, I bought it a year ago. I've zero and when I opened my Kindle, it was on the last page.
So you
I
did
have
read
no
it.
recollection of this book whatsoever.
It's free right now, so if you're into space opera,
it might have been that it was free.
It's a decent space opera.
It.
Yeah.
I'm only like 20 or 30% into it right now, but
it's not blowing my mind space opera, but it's cute.
Yeah. I can live with that.
Yeah.
So,
not everything has to be blowing mind.
So that's what I'm reading and listening to. You
Okay.
also read that book this week.
I did. Because once Leslie sent it to me, what was that, Saturday?
Friday, because I was at your house watching Drag Race.
That's right. I kind of had a staycation weekend this week.
Yeah.
And just got, like, the things like laundry, which I've been putting off getting done. And things like that, cleaning done. So that was my big chill. And then I also started rereading Karma by R.J. Blaine. And I started reading a YA book called Children of Blood and Bone, which is kind of dystopian. I would say it's dystopian. It's interesting. And it has to do a lot with skin color, which is... It's a new take on dystopian, and race, which I really, really enjoy. So it's been an interesting read.
Cool.
I think we might add it to our dystopian unit that we do with the 8th graders as another choice that they can read. I had to finish it first. But yeah, I'm enjoying it.
There being dystopian books really when I was in middle school.
You didn't read The Giver?
No.
I
had Miss McFadden as a...
Aww. The librarian before me, she had like 7 copies of The Giver in the library.
She did not make much effort to get the students to read. The only time we went to the library was for research.
Yeah, so the librarian before me, which my boss, that was also his librarian because he and Leslie went to school together, was kind of what we call now a book museum curator, where she would buy all these books, usually a lot of the Newbery Award winners, 7 or 8 copies of them, and like 7 or 8 copies of all the Little House on the Prairie books and the Cat Who books. We've talked about those before. And she would go through every single book. She had a reader, and if it had any word that she found objectionable, including farts or butt, she would pull it off the shelf, because I found stacks and stacks of these books.
Wow.
Where it was like, and she had this little like index card where she would write down exactly what word was offensive and what page it was on.
Wow. So
she liked to keep books out of the hands of children, basically.
She just, she wasn't super interested in motivating kids to read.
Yeah, she's definitely like that 50s librarian.
She didn't stop you from it.
You would get shushed,
yeah.
And don't bring gum into her library. Don't bring anything to eat or drink. Every book has to be returned in like pristine order. Basically, everything that's the opposite of my life. Which is really, really interesting, and I read a lot of her books.
To read,
yeah.
So.
Oh, I'm all about getting kids to read and discuss what they're reading, and to be happy reading.
Yeah. And
wanting to read. So we have opposite philosophies, but she was also trained in a much different era.
Yeah, that's true.
Of Mississippi than I. And different philosophies on life. I'm definitely more liberal, so it is what it is.
I did have some sewing that I forgot to talk about.
Yeah, talk about your sewing.
So I am working on Laura's quilt. I ordered the backing for it today and the batting, so it should be here by this weekend. And I've got a craftsy class on quilting with rulers, and I got a ruler foot from my machine, and I played around with it a little bit.
Ooh, that's fun.
So I'm going to try to do that one at home. But before that, I've got a coworker in Baltimore. Well, I worked with him in Atlantic City, but he's in Baltimore now, he and his wife. And they still work for the company. Well, he still works for the company. You guys don't really care about that. They're having a baby very soon.
Aww.
So I wanted a very quick, simple...
look at those little dogs.
...project. So I'm doing a disappearing non-patch baby blanket, baby quilt. So you basically take 4 solids and 5 pattern squares. You put the dark in the center. It just makes life easier for everybody. And then you cut right through the center, and then you sew it back together, and you end up with this.
Look at that!
So it's kind of like your library one that I made you.
Yeah.
So I've got 11 blocks to do, and I've got 1 done. The rest of them are pieced. I just have to cut them and then sew them back together. So these blocks I got from Connecting Threads like a while ago. I don't know that I will buy pre-cuts from them again because several of them were skewed. And when you depend on that 5x5 square to be 5x5,
yeah,
that's kind of a problem.
But you like their other things, right?
Yeah, and they're cheap, so you have to kind of balance it out, your expectations. But yeah, it didn't take too terribly long, and I've just got to cut and resew I have to cut this fabric so I can sew it back together.
That seems silly.
But I have backing and batting for it already, so this will be my practice quilt before I actually quilt Laura's quilt. And
look at that.
If I end up hating quilting it, then I'll just send it to Mama Linneman.
Yeah, she said you could totally do that.
So,
because she's got a long arm machine.
She likes to play with it.
Yeah, she knows how to use it.
That's it for me.
Okay.
Oh, PlyAway, yeah.
Yeah, and we talked about PlyAway a little bit before. It was a fun experience. It's going to be the Easter weekend again next year.
Oh, okay.
And Mom already volunteered Wheezy to come stay with Pearl. So, I think that'll be happening. Yeah, we'll have to see who's offering classes and stuff before we commit and who's in the marketplace. It's a good place for us to go because it's like an 8.5-hour drive. Which is not terrible, but we have 2 friends that live in the area, and also like several friends that it's within driving distance. Like Lynn it would be an 8-hour drive for her. Stacy, it's like a 4-hour drive. So
it allows for opportunities to see old friends.
Yes, that we don't get to see very often.
Yeah, and
get really inspired with spinning, which is lots and lots of fun, and see old friends like teachers that we've had at SSK before, like Jillian and Maggie we ran into. We saw Jazz Turtle, who's teaching for us this year. Of course, Jacey.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was lots and lots of fun. It also gives us a chance to see if take classes from people that we might be interested in having teach as well, because there's not that many spinning teachers throughout the land.
Yeah. Let's see if I can think of anything else about PlyAway. I really, really loved my class with, I'm pretty sure it was Jean Woodhouse. Or Jane. Her thing said Joan, and that was wrong, so it's one of the other ones. Her little tag.
Began with a J.
And, yeah, really great. I bought some natural dyeing supplies to try out with my friend Stacy. I need to set up a date with her this summer to go and hang out and dye some stuff. And
we loved the Clemis and Clemis guys. They were
true.
Wonderful. So if you're thinking about getting some fiber equipment, whether it's a blending board or cards or drum carder, like they will show you like everything that you need to know with their equipment, and they teach classes as well. They were just at DFW teaching too, so and
it's a father and son.
Yeah, I would highly recommend checking them out for carding equipment. And I got a drum carder from one of them, from them, that we had ordered back in December. It finally came this past month, and I did a video on Instagram and posted some stuff. But I think you guys will be seeing some more carded fiber. Hopefully some more of the bats being made from some fleece that I need to process. So I started with some Jacob, but there's nothing really to show yet. But yeah, this is it stretched out.
They were fun guys.
They were. And Apothecary, we'll see in Dixon. She's lots of fun, too. So it was a good time. We spent too much money, like per usual, but... We spent
a fair amount of money on stuff for SSK for the bat bar. We're going to do the bat bar.
Yeah, we did. We bought a ton of, like, really interesting add-ins. Whether it was like, Sari Silk or... we got some cool rayon,
some cottons, some other silk blends, just a lot of fun stuff to add into bats.
Oh, we got to try some wheels. So we tried the Clemis and Clemis wheels, which were really fun. I enjoyed them immensely. They're single treadles. And we tried the Spinolution wheels with Spry Whimsy. So we might be getting...
We tried the Worker Bee, the Queen Bee, and the King Bee.
Yes. And the... I
think we liked the King.
And the Echo. We like the King the best.
Yeah. It's a little bit different. The movement takes a minute to get used to, but after that, it's pretty smooth.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's great for art yarn. It's got a huge orifice.
That's what she said.
Yep. I think that's it. Oh, I have one other thing to show you guys.
Yeah, she got the prettiest present.
I did get a pretty present. So, when we were doing Desert Vista Dye Works, a lot of her knit-alongs, I know, look at that. I want those tags now for my stuff.
That's so cute.
One of our viewers contacted me and asked if I would send her my leftover bits because she was doing some kind of big blanket, and so I sent her my leftover bits, and she sent me a present for Humberto.
Who doesn't deserve a present.
No, because he's a jerk. But it's this little blanket.
It's so cute.
That he's been sitting on, and it's got this cute little handmade tag. And I just thought that this was a really cute little thing, because a lot of times we get bogged down. It's knit on the bias, and just,
I love that she didn't have to weave in a single end.
Yeah, like, that is amazing. Wow. So, and she did it opposite corners. I really thought this was a really cool, interesting idea to do with, leftover scraps that you want to only do, like, one row. Or you only have enough to do one row. So yeah, I thought that was super cool and very, very sweet.
Very considerate people who watch our show.
Oh yeah, and Humberto loves it. He's been sitting on it tons and probably trying to eat it because that's how he rolls. That cat, I tell y'all,
it's too nice for him.
Everything's too nice for him. He's a jerk.
If he knew it was his, he wouldn't sit on it.
No. True. He'd probably poop on it because that's how he rolls.
That's pretty much. But you know what? He's 18. He can kind of do what he wants.
Yeah. So that is it for us. Thank you all for your patience with the website being down and missing an episode. We really, really appreciate it. And thank you guys for watching us for 8 years. It's a long freaking time.
I think I can comfortably say it will not be another 8.
Man, if it was another 8, how old would we be? 45?
I would be 45, 46, depending on when.
It's a long time.
Yeah. I sure hope I'm still knitting then, because I could knit a skein a week and probably not run out by then. So
I don't know about that.
We shall see. It's still fun now, so we'll keep doing it.
It's still fun, yeah. We're going to keep doing it as long as it stays fun. We've said that from the get-go. Yeah. But, you know, different people get in different places in their lives, so... Froggy Monkey posted some stuff today. I miss her and Darren.
I was texting her today about she's doing a cool quilt, and she sent me a quilt a month or so ago.
Oh, that's so cool.
I need to show it to you. It's downstairs.
Yeah. I'll see it on my way out.
All right. Well, you guys have a lovely week, and we will talk to you next week, hopefully.
Bye y'all.